Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Exploring Our Secret Past.
Good
I'm your
evening.
I'm your guest guide tonight through everything Texas Scaregrounds, and I'm joined by Carla. We
How you doing?
unfortunately had our special guest had to be called out of work. So, unfortunately, Shawna will not be able to join us, and neither will Shane. We can't help, getting called out on work. Life happens. So, what we have in store for you is something really special, and Carla's going to share all about it.
um, we have some videos and TikToks and all the promotion PR stuff for the Scaregrounds that we are going to share with you. And there's also some um, some media we want to share with you in relationship to paranormal investigation of Fort Wolters. So we're going to be doing that and sharing all that stuff with you guys. And I think, Michael, you got a little surprise maybe that you want to share with everyone.
We do actually. So, since Shauna couldn't make it, she really was feeling upset about it. So, she gave us permission to have an exclusive offer for everyone who wants to come tonight. And that is you take a screenshot of our show, take it to the ticket office at Texas Scaregrounds in Mineral Wells, and you get $5 off of whatever ticket package you purchase.
$5.
Now, I can tell you that is a really cool deal.
Yep.
Because at Texas Scaregrounds, you don't get just one attraction for that discount. Not two, not even three. There's four. So there's if you were there last year, we do have Chaos, the main haunted house, which has been changed and updated. And it's really cool. And I am super stoked about it. I do the rules, so I am kind of biased to Chaos, but it is really super cool and really fun this year. So come out and enjoy it. Mayhem has been moved into the main PX building with Chaos, so you can do both haunted houses now without having to go outside and walk all the way to the bank building. However, you do want to go to the bank building because we do have a new attraction there. So if you were there last year, you remember our Oddities Museum is now much bigger and is housed in half of the bank building. And in the other half of the bank building is a super cool new attraction brought to you by Cindy, who is the lady with the most extreme skills I've ever seen dealing with these things, but it's a mannequin maze and it is super cool. So you definitely want to go check that out. And we even have another special bonus. 2 viewers, if you live in the North Texas area, the DFW Metroplex or near Mineral Wells, if you watch tonight, 2 of you are going to get a chance to win a ticket each, 1 ticket each for 2 people to the Scaregrounds on either Friday or a Saturday night this month. So we'll let you know when we're going to start asking questions for that part of the show.
Just to clarify, that's 1 ticket per winner.
And there's going to be 2 winners.
There you go.
So let's see. You know what? You know what I think we should do right now? I think we should show them that video you created for
We can
them.
do that.
All right, guys, we are going to share
Do you
with
want to set
you.
it up first? Or do
You
you,
created it, so I'll let you set it up.
well, okay. The video that you're about to see is like a compilation of the history of Fort Wolters a little bit, and goes through the area, the landscape, and then kind of goes into uh, the Texas Scaregrounds haunt and some of the videos that we've placed in there, and then goes into some of the investigations that were done on the paranormal side.
All right, so here we go. Let's get this party started. So, for those of you who don't know, that is Shawna and Shayne. Sorry for the silence, guys.
Or the lack of.
Some of them want to be out here. Who had a mind to disagree? Travel the world.
Oh, you brought up Chelsea.
Some people think All Hallows Eve is just for fun and games. Well, allow me to explain. One night a year, the spirits come alive to tickle your fear. Let me be clear. Spider webs, severed heads, it's the dawning of the dead. Ghosts are spawning, demons calling you from underneath your bed. Halloween will make you run, make you scream, deep into the darkness of the night. Halloween will make you live out your worst dreams, deep into the darkness of the night. Oh, Halloween. So is it an off mode?
I know.
Oh.
It's going off. So we can't.
That skeleton head's a hoot.
That's off, and that's also an off position.
That's it.
All right.
That's just a little taste.
And to go over some of what you've seen in there was with the paranormal side, that was at the end of the video. So the first room was where an EVP of a lady saying hi was found. And that was during the beginning of an investigation, actually. And I actually caught that. And the next video piece was a skeleton head that we had it in off mode and it would go off. We had it in on mode, it would go off. There was no rhyme or reason to how it was going off in both modes. So that skeleton is quite interesting because there are people who walk past it and it does nothing. And then somebody can walk up right behind them and it starts going off.
With no batteries.
I'm not sure if there's batteries in it or not, but it's very selective on when it goes off. I have noticed with other teams investigating there that they'll be like, I walked past it and nothing. And then my teammate walked up behind me and it started going off. And I'm like, really? And we'd go back and we'd have somebody, we'd pick it up, nothing. We'd put it down, nothing. And then somebody would pick it up and it starts going off. So there's no rhyme or reason to how that goes off. And I mean, even the dogs are concerned about that skull.
There's ghosts in here.
So I'm going to take a little bit of time and share Texas Scaregrounds. As you can see, Carla and I are wearing our Texas Scaregrounds shirts.
Scaregrounds.
So what it is Shawna has taken and put a haunted house in a haunted location. And the really cool part is you would think with all the noise and everything going on that the paranormal would kind of take a sidestep and rest. But no, there are actors who will refuse to act in certain rooms because they're hearing voices or they're getting touched or they're seeing doors moving and they're the only ones in there. And so the paranormal, I think, is loving that they get to play in the haunted house with people coming through. And so it's kind of fun having an experience where you can get spooked by yourself, even when you're trying to spook somebody else.
I was going to ask you about that, if some of the actors actually experience the paranormal activity that's in there while they're waiting for victims to come through.
Yeah, I've had a couple come up to me and tell me about, they're hearing voices or they're like they think they see somebody and there's nobody in the haunt. And so there's activity even when we're in haunt season. And so when I mention haunt season, so haunt season started September 30th
This year.
on a Friday this year, and it runs every Friday and Saturday night in October. It starts at 7, ends at midnight, so you are welcome to come through it. And there's a deal with the ticket office. If you go through, say, Chaos, and you go through Mayhem, and you do the Mannequin Maze, and you do the Oddities Museum, and you're like, hey, I want to go through Chaos and try, something else. I want to experience something else in there. You can go back to the ticket office and get, for a cheaper ticket price, to come through one more time and do just that part. And there's I will say there is a fun little game that you get to play to start Chaos. I can't tell you more because that'll ruin the surprise of it, but it's one of those things that you're going to really wish you had done it if you miss out. So I highly suggest coming and checking it out. And Shawna informed me today that Texas Scaregrounds is ranked the #1 haunted house in Texas right now. So you definitely want to come and see us live up to that reputation and put us to the test.
I went through it a couple times last year, and there were areas that were pretty frightening.
All I can tell you, Carla, is it's gotten much bigger and more scarier now.
Perfect.
So, let's see. Good
Was it
evening,
different?
Penny.
Go ahead.
I was just saying good evening to Penny. She's in our chat group. And anybody else who would like to ask us questions about the Scaregrounds or any paranormal activity we have experienced because we've investigated there, then please feel free to ask. We will answer as best we can. Now, I will say, if you do ask us questions like what's inside the haunt during the Scaregrounds, I cannot reveal what's in the haunted house.
No secrets. No divulging secrets.
So,
did you want to talk a little bit about the base first?
All right. So, the base sits on a piece of land that is really rich in history. So, back in the 1800s, there were a lot of Indian wars going on around there. There was like the Red Indian War and the Comanches and the Apaches, and I think the Caddo even were over in here, the Kiowas. So there were a lot of Indian tribes that would be fighting over the land, which I feel pretty confident has left somewhat of a mark on the land. And so there's always the opportunity to come and investigate and try and connect with them. Now, in the 1930s, I think it was, they built a military base there. The Army did. And were training soldiers. And Audie Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II, was trained at Fort Wolters, or Camp Wolters is what they called it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, came to learn that Camp Wolters was also a German POW campsite. So you can imagine how much having people that have never been to America that were soldiers that are now being kept in fences and under guard, how, that trauma and that fear had to leave an imprint in the land. And there have been reports of people who have gotten EVPs, or some psychic mediums have gone through and picked up on German energy there. So they're definitely starting to make their presence known. So the interesting thing is, so yes, Audie Murphy, the most decorated, was trained there. There was also a Lieutenant Green, I believe his last name was trained there, and he got the Congressional Medal of Honor. And there was a private named Eddie. I'm going to butcher his last name because I believe it's Polish from the looks of it, but it looks like Slavonic or Slavonic, or however you pronounce it. But he got separated from his unit, didn't want to fight, was a avid protester of the war, and was drafted and was refusing to fight. They caught up with him when he got separated, and he was the first soldier court-martialed for desertion since the Civil War. And I mean, being that, those are the two big wars of the time and no real war in between may make it sound like a small deal, but it's actually a pretty big deal, because there usually is desertion during peacetime too, from people who don't want to serve. And so it's rather interesting that he's the first one since the Civil War to get convicted of desertion. So you have both elements of the worst soldier and two of the best soldiers all training in the same place. And so Camp Wolters, after World War II ended, was shut down because they, I guess, decided they no longer really needed the military base. And then a new commander took over in the 60s during the Vietnam conflict, or as some will say, the Vietnam War. That's a matter of technicality. But the Vietnam, if you were in the Air Corps, meaning you flew helicopters, you went through Fort Wolters and was trained there. And the unique thing was, because they were training helicopter pilots for combat that they've never had done before, it was a brand new style of fighting. They had their families stationed on the base, and the famous Beach Army Hospital was built as a place for the families to go and get their medical care. The babies could be born there for the pilots and soldiers that trained there. And after the Vietnam conflict ended, it was left vacant, and the Army National Guard now uses some of it, and the rest is all privately owned. And so we're really fortunate to have, two of the buildings right now that we can investigate and see the history and try and connect with soldiers that may be there, or prisoners that may be there, or Native Americans that are there. And so it's got a very rich, long history. And the only reason I think they changed it from Camp Wolters to Fort Wolters was the commanding general wanted it changed, and it was a new military unit that came in. So they were like, let's separate and create a new distinguishing unit.
Yeah.
And so that's all I have on the history of Fort Wolters so far.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We got a history lesson. How about then once Shawna and Shayne were able to pick up the buildings, they also brought some stuff from the Nazareth.
They did, and we do have in the haunt section or the haunted house, there are pieces from Beach Army even there. So there's stuff in the haunted house section from the haunted Beach Army Hospital, the haunted Nazareth Hospital. So it's when Shawna likes to put out her ad that says, "Did we put a haunted house in a haunted location?" Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And we even some of us in a group that Shawna created called the Tribe. It's a bunch of paranormal investigators that are dedicated to para-unity and helping each other and building up the paranormal community. We went over and went to the Nazareth when it was closed and asked the spirits that were there if they wanted to, they were welcome to join us at the new Fort Wolters Scaregrounds. And so I have a strong suspicion, and I think Shawna's confirmed it, that we do have at least a couple of the more famous spirits from the Nazareth making appearances over at the Fort Wolters base. And I think there are some spirits from Beach Army that are coming and hanging out as well.
Yeah.
So yes, we did build a haunted house on a haunted location. And the beauty of it is that once the haunt season is over, if you reach out to Shawna off of one of her ads, her name on Facebook is Shawna Lee Anderson. She has TikTok, and you can find her on her TikTok page. I believe it's Texas Scaregrounds. And all of the ads will have her number to text, and you just text investigate, and you are connected with her directly, and she will schedule with you when you can do your investigation. And I believe that you can more than likely, I think it's Friday and Saturday night investigations, but I could be wrong. That's why you need to talk to Shawna, because she's the keeper of the schedule. I don't keep her schedule for her, so don't quote me on it being just 2 nights that you can investigate. I'm sure if you contact her, you can
Make
find
arrangements.
time to investigate.
Yeah.
Teams are welcome to investigate there. I would say with it being, you get to investigate 2 buildings for one investigation. You get the PX building and the bank building. And I'm going to take a moment right now to clarify what those terms mean. PX is the military term for like a general store or a convenience store. So that's where you would go to buy like food or clothing or supplies. It's kind of the general store of the military. And the bank building obviously is the bank where you go and get paid or make payments for stuff, get deposit money.
It's a store.
Is it a store?
Kind of. They get all their supplies, stuff for their houses.
Right. I thought that was at the PX. And
oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's
building,
what you were talking about was the PX.
No, and the really cool thing about the bank building is when you get to investigate in that area, there is the vault is still in the building. However, you can't lock the door, but you can close it and do some EVP work in there or do some investigating in there. And You've investigated in the bank building, haven't you?
I have.
What experiences did you have in the bank?
I actually performed the Estes method in there in the
In the
vault.
vault.
In the vault. Yeah, it was also when it was really, really hot. So even though we had it closed a little bit, we didn't have it closed all the way because there'd be no air practically. But there was I experienced my hair being touched, and well, that's when I immediately took off the headset, and I was like, "What the heck?" But it, the bank building in and of itself, I investigated pretty much just the vault area because it had more activity than I was running across in other parts. But the PX is something else.
Yeah, the PX. Oh man, we both have a history with the PX building. That
It's crazy.
yeah. So our experience actually started with your team.
Of course.
And I am still in shock over this and can't explain it, but
To this day.
so what we're talking about is we had an investigation there in February, if I'm not mistaken, this year. And we were all walking around getting the lay of the land and kind of doing our own things. And we all met up in the doll area or the children's area of the haunt. And there were a couple in there from Chicago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they were telling us about this sound that they were hearing every 12, 15
11
minutes.
minutes. Yeah.
And I was looking at them very skeptical because I have investigated there probably half a dozen times before that night and never heard anything. I mean, I've heard strange sounds, but not like they were describing. And so I kind of laid down a challenge and was like, all right, we'll wait here. And we all were just kind of chit chatting. And then when it got close to time, they were like, okay, time's coming. So everybody got quiet, everybody got settled. And sure enough, this very unique sound went off. We could hear it audibly. You didn't need any equipment. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, wait, where is this coming from? So, long story short, 2.5 hours later of trying to determine where this sound is coming from, and we would line up in a straight line. We would spread out in the room. We'd form a circle in the center of the room. At no point in this 2.5 hours did any of us totally agree where the sound was coming from. There was maybe 10 of us in there.
Yeah.
And maybe 2 would agree, but never all of us. And so it was driving us crazy. And we finally decided, all right, we're done. We're getting tired. It's hot. We're getting frustrated. So we decided, all right, that's it. We're going to call it a night. And I talked with Shawna about it, and she had never witnessed that either. And she was curious about the sound. So the following Friday, and
Well, before you go that far, we need to explain too that while we were experiencing the sound, we recorded it and sent it to Shawna at home, and she was like, what the hell is that? And it never, she goes, there's nothing in there that should be making any noise. Nothing's plugged in, no batteries in anything.
Right. All the dolls that needed batteries, the batteries were out.
Yep.
So there was nothing that should be making that sound.
Right.
And so she asked me if I would be willing, and I said, can I bring 2 people with me? So Carla and our friend Tony went back the following Friday. This was in March, I believe. We had actually come into March.
Yep.
And spent the Friday night, and we had the sole objective, and I know, Shawna, you don't like this term, but it's the best term we have for trying to
Starts with a
disprove
T.
what's going on. And so we were on a mission to debunk the sound and figure out its source and be like, okay, so we figured it out. Well, so Cindy meets us up there to let us in, and we invite her to go along with this because she hadn't heard the sound either. And bless Cindy's heart, she's a skeptic, which I love.
Yep.
And I appreciate. And she's sitting in the room with us, and we're getting activity on cat balls. And that was really interesting too, what we got with the cat balls. And after the cat balls were done, we got to the time where we had heard it the prior week, and we said, all right, let's see if we can get it. I have to admit, at this point, I was totally like, this ain't going to happen. Cindy's
Right.
going to be mocking us that we're making this up. There's nothing to hear. And the laugh is there. The sound returned and was on the same timed intervals. And we spent, an hour and a half?
At least. And we recorded it each time because she couldn't believe what, for one thing, it didn't go off until we hung out in that area a while. Then when it started, we were like, 11 minutes. We just need to put in 11 minutes. And we would record it. And sure enough, that's when she heard it again.
And it was repeating.
Yep.
On the intervals. And so, like I said, this was in March. So then I think we had an event there in April, a Para-Unity event, and nobody reported hearing the laughter, the sound. And we were investigating the whole building, both buildings, and nothing. Then we had a darkness event and no sound. It wasn't there. And when we were constructing the haunt and moving stuff around, we were there working at nights because of the heat. Nobody reported the sound either. So the interesting fact that I can conclude from the evidence that we have collected so far, and I know this is going to sound awkward, but Carla, it seems to resonate around you. You're the common denominator.
Well, then we'll have to go back. Go back in November, December or something.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is with paranormal, spirits will attract and make themselves known to certain people. That's why, for example, if I was to walk into, say, the hospital room and say, wow, I'm hearing a lot of footsteps. I'm hearing a lot of movement. Something's being dragged. And I leave, and then Carla goes in there and says, I want to experience this. Nothing.
And it
They're like,
happens.
nope, you ain't we're not performing for you. It's like, I can't explain it, but they are adamant of you. The only way I've been able to put it together, and some other paranormal investigators that have been at it for a while have stated, if the spirits aren't used to you and don't know you very well, like you haven't been around a lot,
Yeah.
they tend to be more shy because they're trying to figure you out as much as you're trying to figure them out.
Don't know how to interact.
And so that's why I found it interesting that this spirit was choosing Carla and her team to make itself known to, when I'd been there so many times. It was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This defies all the logic of what
Yeah.
we have. So just goes to show that's why we don't have any experts in the paranormal field, is because everything changes depending on the day.
Yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact.
And so
I think we
since
should run the experiment when it's a little bit later in a couple months or something.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tempted to run an experiment in November right after the haunt and see, how much all the energy of everybody screaming and going through the haunted house and the actors scaring, how much that got to
Yeah.
ramp the energy up.
That'd be kind of cool.
But I think right now, it's a good time to reveal that other surprise that you were talking about that I had created
Yeah.
for the group. So let me see if I can open that up real quick. And so what this is that I'm about to share is a video that I actually put together as a kind of paranormal ad for Fort Wolters, Texas Scaregrounds, the haunted side of it. So let me see if I can get my computer to cooperate with me and share this with you all. Now, this ad does not have music to it, but it does have sound. So you're going to hear some. They are live videos. If I can get it to play, I think the play button is hidden underneath. Yes, it is. Here we go. Gotta love technology. And so that's the bank building at dusk, and that is the PX building.
So is it an off mode?
I know.
Oh.
It's going off. It needs to be off. So we can't do.
Waiting for you.
That's off, and that's in off position. Look, she's playing with me. Good job. Thank you. Honey, can you tell me your name?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you help us out? If
Thank you for lighting it up one time.
if you were the one laughing, can you keep lighting it up? Thank you.
are you having fun with messing with us to get us to figure out where you are?
You little stinker.
Can you stop it now? There you go. Walk away so we can ask another question. Do you like having us here? Light up the ball, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you like the colors?
Did you like that?
We got a ball lit up.
Been a while since you heard that, huh?
It's fine. He's still there, hugging you and cuddling with you. Man, he really likes you. He put his leg around you now. Whoa.
What?
I believe that was in the costume room, right?
That was in the costume room.
Yeah, he's still like leaning over, half his body over towards you. It looks like he's like trying to climb on top of you.
First date. We can be friends.
Pretty strange.
Yeah. I love how you call it a first date.
Family. Back behind her.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was really good.
That was. And so what we were listening to was the first one was where we were playing a cadence. Since it was a military base, we thought we'd try and see if we could get the soldiers to respond. And if you were listening carefully, there was the phrase "pause it" in the cadence, and that was not in the cadence. That was a spirit. And I was the only male in the lobby of the PX where we were doing the experiment. And so, yeah, I'd never said pause it. And the two ladies I was investigating with, Mary Jo and Kimberly, both of them said, if you had said pause it, Michael, we would have paused it. So we definitely never heard that. So that was really cool. The second video was the voice of the lady that said hi. And then the third video, which I believe was the light that came in the lobby, the cat ball on the floor. Mm-hmm. We had just played Revelry, and they lit up the cat ball to Revelry. And we were saying, that's why we were saying, it's probably been a while since you've heard that. So you can use so many things for trigger objects there. You can use music. You can use objects. There's just, the place is active. That's all I can really say. And so, as we mentioned earlier, there is a chance to win tickets. So I'm going to take a second, though, and say Shawna's favorite saying that we all live by at Fort Wolters is friends by chance, family by choice. And that is a really cool motto. And that's what Para Unity is about. We're coming together by choice to support each other. And so now we are going to ask in the audience if there are two people who live in the North Texas area that would like to attend the Texas Scaregrounds haunted house, we have a chance for you. If you comment to us in the show, we will get your name and we will pass it on to Shawna, and you will get a free ticket. So we're looking for 2 people in the audience to message us. I mean, how easy is that? Get a free ticket just for messaging us.
Yep. Just
We're
comment.
going to make this super easy. The first 2 people in the North Texas area that message us that say they want to go, we're going to hook you up with 1 ticket each.
Yep.
And for everyone else, a reminder of if you take a screenshot of the show to the ticket office, you'll get $5 off. And another thing that I will mention that Shawna is doing right now is with the food drive. If you bring 5 cans of canned goods like soup or anything in a can that can be donated, you'll get 5. If you bring 5 cans, you get $5 off on that deal as well, to support a local food bank in the Mineral Wells area. So let's see who wants to be one of our free tickets to 4 attractions. And while we're waiting for them, is there anything you want to mention about Fort Wolters that we haven't kind of talked about?
Not really. We kind of went through the evolution of it a little bit.
Right.
I just encourage everybody out there, if they can get a chance to go to this, the haunt, the Texas Scaregrounds haunt, you will not be disappointed at all. Matter of fact, it'll make you want to come back and go through again.
Oh, yeah. I look forward to it every year. I tend to shut myself down from investigating for the month of October so I can do the haunt. And so that's another thing. If you go to the haunt, there is a chance you might actually be able to meet me there. I might, if you're lucky, I might be in the rules room of the Chaos haunted house. So I don't know if that's a perk or a curse, but I'll be there most nights. And let's see, since we're getting close to the end of the show, I just realized something.
What?
Our next guest next week has a tie to Fort Wolters as well.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's going to be an awesome show, too.
Phoenix Jensen is going to be on our show next week, Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
She has done a lot of medium investigating at Fort Wolters.
Mm-hmm.
She is a part of the tribe that I was mentioning that Shawna put together to do Para-Unity. She was one of the leading forces behind our Para-Unity event in April that we had, where we got to meet a lot of cool paranormal investigators. And oh yeah, I just remembered. That's where we got to meet our lovely show producer that created this network that we're on, the Paranormal United Network, Paralinks, Stephen Woodard. We got to meet him and his lovely wife there and investigate with them, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, we got to meet a lot of cool people, and we got to meet should we tell them about the surprise guest in December that we met? Do you remember?
Well, we've had a few.
They're going to be on the show in December. It's the couple from California,
Oh, yeah. George and Cara.
Shoplin. They are going to be on our show in December. So that'll
That's
be.
going to be so much fun.
So one of the things you'll start to figure out about our show is we like to do what's known as Para-Unity, where we share what we've learned in the paranormal community, and we try to bring guests on that also are, paranormal wise and share their experiences so that we can learn from them, and hopefully you guys learn as well and enjoy our little piece of para-unity in support of the paranormal community.
Uh-huh.
And the really cool thing that I wish Shawna and Shayne would have been here is they're actually not paranormal people. Their background is purely the haunted house horror side.
Mhm.
And so they're learning about the paranormal through the fact that they have a paranormal location now. And so they're learning, just like the rest of us, how to document experiences and make note of what happens and all kinds of things. So it's really a fun place to hang out and visit, and it's really large. So I would say groups of like 10, maybe 13 would be pretty good size for there, because you can split
Between the buildings.
the two buildings.
That would be a good thing. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got like 3 minutes left. So if anybody would like a shot at those free tickets, your window's closing shortly. But for everyone else, just remember at the end, after the show's over, or you can do it now, take a screenshot of our episode, and you get a $5 discount at the ticket office. I mean, can't beat that. I mean, how many shows reward you for watching? And so tonight's episode has not only been brought to us by the Paralinks Network and the Parapost Network that we're on, and YouTube for my channel, but is also brought by Carpe Noctem, which is Shawna's company, and Texas Scaregrounds. So we are really fortunate to be able to team up with them and be a part of the haunted house crew and have the opportunity to investigate there as well. And I will say Shawna is one of the most humble and
down to earth.
Down to earth hosts. She will share with you the history of the location that she's looked up as well and has learned about the town, because even the town of Mineral Wells has a rich history into the paranormal side as well. So I would highly recommend checking it out. And don't forget that this October, when you go check out Texas Scaregrounds, you get 4 attractions at one location, and you have the option to do all 4 attractions at once, or you can do one. You can do however many you'd like. So to reiterate, there's Chaos, the haunted house, the large one, the small mayhem, and the PX. And we have the mannequin maze and the oddities museum in the bank building. So those are all 4 attractions in one location. So thank you all for joining us tonight as we discussed Texas Scaregrounds and looked into the haunted house that's actually built on a haunted location. So thank you, Carla, for that wonderful video that you created.
You as well?
Thank you much.
Mhm.
And as we mentioned earlier, we do look forward to talking with our friend Phoenix Jansen next week
Next
too.
week. It's going to be exciting stuff.
So you'll want to stay tuned to that one as well. And have a blessed evening, everyone. And see you all on the next adventure.
Yep. Good
Have
night.
a good night.